Ted Jones messed with the wrong melon farmers.
Ted Jones, I also call him the eighth wonder of the real estate world.
Ted Jones, who knows, it could be.
Ted Jones?
The Ted Jones World Podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 47 of the Ted Jones World Podcast. I am your host, Ted Jones, alongside me on the computer screen, Pat Charmel. Producer Pat, how are you, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm chilling. I'm in the studio by myself for the umpteenth time. I haven't seen you in months. I need a hug, bro.
I know.
What did you eat? What did you eat for lunch today, man?
I don't know. I just had breakfast. I don't eat lunch usually.
Well, bro, I feel like I ask you what you eat every day.
The last time you said avocado.
Oh, see, look,
yeah.
look, our guest even knows the episodes before we introduce her. Kim Caspare. Kim, how are you? Today's guest, how's everything?
I am fantastic. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do remember that he talked about avocado. So
Pat, you know what? Pat is a big,
today.
Pat's a healthy guy. Pat loves a good avocado. So Kim, you are today's guest. We are so happy to have you. Kim owns a health and wellness studio in New York City and is currently in Orlando, Florida in the NBA bubble. And the NBA season is officially back. So Kim, how are you?
I am great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. It's nice to talk to someone outside the bubble. We have been here for 17 days now, and it's been like the most outrageous, crazy experience ever. I feel like we're literally like in a bubble outside the universe of the rest of the world.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been great so far, so good. I do miss home and PHLEX and obviously my team there in New York at my health and wellness studio. But it's been pretty cool. Yeah, we're having a good time.
That's great. So Kim mentioning PHLEX, which is a premier health and wellness studio in New York City. All the big shots go there. If you go to Kim's studio, you'll be sure to see some. So Kim, with the NBA season just beginning, I'm sure it's very exciting for you. So I'll just let you give a quick background of yourself. But there's so much to tell. Sure. So kind of break down what you're doing in Orlando and what you've been doing the past few years.
Okay, sure. So I'm a physical therapist. I basically got hurt when I was really young, and it turned into this whole big thing where I wasn't really getting the care I needed, and then the physical therapist I worked with wasn't so great. And I remember as like a kid being like, I don't want anyone ever to feel this way. I think it's terrible that you could you go to someone to get care and you just didn't really feel like you were being taken care of. So I decided right then and there, I was like taking care of athletes for my journey in life. And I became like an athletic trainer, and I became a strength conditioning coach. So I really wanted to like learn about injuries and how to prevent them from the strength and conditioning side. And then from the athletic training side, I wanted to like live in the wake of the injury, like on the field or on the court. And then all knowing that I wanted to become a physical therapist and really do rehab and help people that felt like they were like injured or, just feeling like they were not themselves, or they just didn't feel like they didn't feel great. Like I wanted to be able to like give them a pathway to feel better. So I created like a health and wellness studio in New York City, as you mentioned, PHLEX. And that was like a combination of athletic training and physical therapy and strength and conditioning and acupuncture and all these things under one roof. And I created that, which is so weird because I created that so like a person in New York City could feel like a professional athlete. Like the care that a professional athlete gets is like, you get like your team, you come into the training room, everyone knows your name, you feel like you have like this rapport with like a big group of people that want to take care of you and support you, and it feels like so good. And that's how like I designed it at PHLEX, that people like really could feel like they had the support. No matter what in your life, you could be, a tennis guy from, like a big collegiate tennis player, still wanting to live out your dream and stay healthy and awesome. And that was like a path that I always wanted people to feel like they could like always continue to feel good and live whatever, go along whatever journey they wanted in their health, and like run a marathon at 60 or whatever they wanted. So, and now like being here in a professional sports environment, forget the bubble part, but just being in the professional sports arena, like it's kind of really cool knowing like how badass Flex actually is that could take care of people. Because we're like the way that professional athletes, like the care that they get is phenomenal. But I feel like we really designed a good structure at Flex that kind of does that same thing. So I feel like this is like such a full circle for me because I've been doing this for so long and I created this like environment for people to feel supported and great. And now I'm here in that environment that I always wanted people to feel like they had. And it's been like, it's sort of like a surreal experience for me. It's been
That's
pretty cool.
great. So I mean, initially it sounds like you went to New York City. You were going to create this big health and wellness studio and become the biggest name in New York City, which you have. And then how did you kind of, I don't want to say stumble upon, but how did you get into the mix and being one of the, 350 people in the bubble down there? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's wild. I'm like one of, I think, 40 physical therapists in the bubble, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Maybe not even. Well, 5 years ago, I started working with one of the athletes I work with a couple professional athletes when the doctor, like if a surgeon has a surgery, they're like, the only person that could take care of that guy or that athlete for the first couple of weeks that they have after surgery is Kim or whatever. So they'll like have me come in, I'll consult on the case, I'll see the athlete for a couple of weeks, and then, you know, the athlete goes along with their team and keeps working with their team.
Now, quickly, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt too many times. This will happen.
Please
a few times.
interrupt as many times as you want. I love it.
But in terms of like, you know, the athletes just seeing Kim, you know, seeing yourself just for the first couple of weeks, do you kind of give like a training regimen to the NBA team's physical therapist itself? Because I know initially you were working with a few NBA guys who had an issue and they didn't want to work with anyone besides you. So, yeah. I mean, that must have been tough just because there aren't not all NBA players live in New York City and aren't able to come to your office every day. So kind of, how did that work?
Yeah, no, I think the sports medicine teams are like the people on like the physical therapists or whoever, we're all sort of receptive of like other people kind of coming in, a second pair of eyes, whatever it is. So if I was just put on the case, like maybe, right, the guy like is in Kansas or whatever, and you know, his team's back in Kansas, but he comes to New York, I'm with him for 4 weeks. And then I give the regimen over to whoever's taking over, you know, you just kind of like pass the baton. So I think it's super easy. I mean, it's just like professional way of handling things. So like they're usually really receptive, and then it just works out. It just so happened that this particular player on this particular team, my job was only for 4 weeks, and that was 5 years ago. So I've been with this guy forever. So, but it's great. So it's been really good. And when this bubble was coming to be, one of the biggest risks for all these guys was going to be a risk for injury because, yeah, I mean, they took off how many weeks, right? So they were either not doing anything and they were like playing Xbox, or they were doing like too much, and they were, whatever it was, like, you know, these guys were kind of left on their own devices. I think most of them did a really good job, but it was a massive risk for re-entry into the sport. Like this was like a big deal. Like people could get very injured. And I think everybody involved did a good job, but because it was such a big risk, my presence and my ability to be here was really, really important.
So you're, you know, you talk about your presence and such, and I've met you a few times, so has Pat, and you really do have a terrific presence in terms of like just gathering everyone's attention. It's really great, Kim. So we wanted to know kind of what the schedule is like down there. I mean, what you waking up at 5 a.m.? What's the story?
My schedule, we wake up. I mean, yes, we wake up at many hours, but you know what's really the weirdest thing is that as soon as you wake up, You have to take your temperature, your pulse ox, you have to answer a questionnaire before you leave the room. Like, if you see this, you can see this bracelet on my hand.
Yeah, if you guys are checking it out on YouTube, which you should be, Kim's got a cool bracelet on.
This is our this is our magic band. We can go nowhere unless this thing turns green.
You want to bring that in a little bit closer so we can see it?
So we go.
There it is.
So it literally has Mickey Mouse ears. Okay.
Oh,
and
right. Disney World. There you go.
Hello. Yeah. Disney is, you're in Disney here. Everything has Mickey Mouse ears.
I bet.
It's crazy. From like the golf tees to you can't get like a Rice Krispie treat without it having Mickey Mouse ears. So yeah, so we have to check in every morning. And then once we check in and we do our pulse ox and our temperature, it reads it digitally. And then we can move about the campus. But if we don't do that, the minute we wake up, or at least a period of time thereafter, we can't do it. We can't leave. We can't even go from our building to where like our team room is for food. We can't do anything. So like this has to turn green no matter where we go in or out. So if we go to like the arena, you scan this before you walk in, and there's like people there, and you're just like, so it's like a whole thing. So literally that's like my first couple minutes of the day. And then, we do like a lot of treatments, and we're like working like with the guys, but like a lot of the things is like, like I'm having lunch with the players, or I'll go to like dinner with the coaches, and that's really cool. But around here, it's cool because we have this, it's like a lake, and everybody, so there's like each building has one or two teams inside the building. And then you just like see like Russell Westbrook on the Westbrook, like on the boat, like Butler, like,
or like
Baba,
across the street,
yeah,
like on the
like,
Giannis
like,
Antetokounmpo on the balcony over there.
Totally, like someone's on the balcony, and then all of a sudden like guys are playing cornhole, and then like pool volleyball. And it's just like, it's like this crazy weird camp that everybody.
Yeah, it feels like, it sounds like a college camp, kind of.
It is. It's a camp for above like 20-year-olds, and everybody here is like an NBA superstar, and you're just like, they're all like hanging out, and it's absolutely wild. It's
right.
It's really
wild. Kim, you being down there, making sure everyone is nice and right, nobody's gonna be straining any hamstrings, pulling any quads or whatever. Yeah. So obviously, health and wellness, a very important part of sports and life. What are these guys eating down there? I would consider that food is a super important part of health and wellness, and I've seen some of these guys complain, but what's the kind of food vibe situation there?
Okay, so the food vibe is very interesting. I would never complain about the food here because you wouldn't, but I'm seeing some NBA superstars complain. They super complain about it. I mean, look, if they need to vocalize their opinion so they can get the right fuel for their fire, then go ahead, because that's what they need to do. So our team has brought in like different types of chefs, and like they've really gotten it down now that they have like different people coming in to really help out with the food. So it's more edible for the guys, and the guys are happier. And I think we got out some of the kinks over the last couple of weeks, and now they're like, it's like chicken, rice, vegetables. It's all the things that you would think like that would be high in protein. But then, there's the problem is that they get these meals, and we have to get them in these like to go containers, and nothing like looks very appetizing. Like, it's not like you're like sitting down at like with a plate and like silverware, it's kind of weird because everything has to be like contact. So the guys just like, it's just not like so appetizing. Like, the guys get the Frisco's a lot. They order from the Frisco's a lot. Right. They order from like the restaurant a lot. But I mean, I think it's good because they're getting what they need now, and they're definitely not starving. We get like 10 meals a day.
And everyone's eating the same thing. So like, there aren't people on like.
No, everyone's not eating the same thing.
Oh, they're not? Sorry.
Yeah. So it's wild. No, because every team has like a different chef that like works with your chef. Yeah. So so we'll go by and we walk by and we'll see like other guys like the Mavericks or like the Rockets or whatever, and we'll walk by and we like want their food way more than we want our food because we keep. But like everybody has like a different chef.
Right.
I mean, it's like a 3.5-star hotel meal.
I was gonna say, are
So-
they like trading food at the cafeteria?
Like at a
Mexican
jail?
You don't even know. Like some people will just like sneak up and go to the different line because like sometimes they just, yeah, they do.
Well, I mean, they're all like 6'8" anyway, and they're all NBA players. I'm sure people can't keep track of the people on their team. So,
Yeah.
question, Kim.
Yeah.
Does everyone need to like wear a mask when they're not inside their room, like you or on the balcony?
Yeah, no, we have to wear a mask 24/7.
Wow. So even though the bubble is fully contained, and I've seen articles that say that there's 0 positive COVID tests, I guess the same thing happened in the NHL. I haven't really been following the NHL, but apparently they have 0 COVID tests as well. But I guess it's just like, it's just reassuring to make sure that this isn't an issue again, and there's a second and third wave. Because I don't know if you've seen in the MLB, the Miami Marlins had 13 players on their roster who had coronavirus like 3 days ago.
So because the MLB had that, the NBA's already considering having another bubble next year because they just don't think we're going to be able to contain it. Yeah, so the entire season might be in a bubble. I mean, look,
you're talking about from now until the end of the playoffs, which is what, August 15th?
Yeah, no, the end of the playoffs is October 13th. We go all the way to October 13th.
Right? Okay, and they're saying that even when it picks up again,
wow, there'd be another bubble. I mean, that's only talk, and I'm definitely not the chairman of the NBA, so don't quote me. But it's just like there's already sort of this like kind of like conversation going, like, well, what's next year going to be like? And next year, like, the only thing people keep talking about is if there's going to be a bubble or not a bubble. So we might be doing this all over again next year.
It's a crazy time. And, you know, I can only imagine how hot it is wearing a bubble wearing a mask in the Orlando bubble. I was walking around the city today with that mask. When I'm not around anyone, I gotta let it out.
Yeah, let it out.
It's too much. So, Kim, you were saying about how not everyone has the same food, which is very surprising. Does everyone have the same room down there? Is LeBron in the King suite or what?
So funny. That is a hard question for me to answer because I think seniority wins. So I think there's definitely like, you know, the medical staff is on sort of a floor.
Okay, like a different floor. Right.
You know,
and, you know,
like
in fairness, you know, Kim, in fairness to LeBron, it is Walt Disney Studios. I mean, it is the Walt Disney Hotel, right? So, like, I can't imagine how crazy the suite is. I don't know, Pat, you've been on some pretty fancy vacations down there in Florida. You tell me. Are the suites crazy?
I don't know. I heard that aren't like the higher seeded teams getting nicer accommodations, or is that not a thing?
No, Pat, unbelievable. So the higher seeded teams are all in one hotel because they're smart, because what they're going to do is they're just going to keep consolidating the bubble into like one hotel. Right. So like so particularly the yacht club is like one type of seeded team. We're like the middle, like we're kind of fourth or fifth in the playoff ranking, or fifth in the playoff ranking, and then like the higher seeded teams are in this one hotel. So that hotel happens to be like the nicest hotel, but I also think it's also like kind of for logistics, like it's a bigger hotel. It has 6 restaurants. It has like, you know, like we have 1 restaurant, like it's not as, but I think it's also because like as you frame it down, you're going to need to keep people in like one spot, and that happens to be like the best spot to do that with. So, but so like there is definitely people have, if you're like a high up in the franchise, like if you're a franchise player, you get probably the nicest room.
I mean, it's been funny, just even like we were talking initially about some of the players complaining about the food. They were like on their Instagrams or whatever, they're like, I know LeBron ain't eating this.
Yeah, well, he was like the
Me
first
too.
one to complain about it, which like started the whole thing, and Disney was so upset because they were like, stop like talking about our food, like we're trying our best.
Yeah, literally. And you know, it's really quite the experiment they put together in such a short amount of time. Like if only our country was this organized,
Right?
it'd be really great.
We would have no problems. Like if our country was as organized as the NBA, we would have the NBA has done such a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like they put all these guys together that are used to being like in the Ritz or the Peninsula in these rooms that are definitely not Ritz and Peninsula. They gave them like kind of the best food that they can give them. But what is so important is that they kept us really safe. They have like there's no like besides the guy that went out to a strip club, like, and
Lou Williams, shout out
Yeah.
Lou Williams. You're not getting away clean here. Go ahead.
No, see, he goes out to the strip club, so now he's quarantined for 10 days. so the whole thing is that they've done such a good job at just the big things, like that. I mean, they should run like Adam Silver should run our country, like
Right.
hands down.
Yeah, I've always thought Adam Silver was a prime presidential candidate, but New York killing COVID anyway. We are doing a good job over here. So Kim, you've seen a number of NBA players ball within the last few weeks. Do you have any opinions on who's going to win MVP or who's going to have the greatest bubble performance?
Okay, so I would say that the group that's going to have the greatest, in general, the group that's going to have the greatest bubble performance is the group that can like survive this bubble nonsense. So like being really resilient, like keeping up with team spirit, making sure that like, you know, like it just doesn't get away from you, that you're just, you know, because it kind of gets monotonous and you just feel like you're going through the motions a little bit. So like it's the team that's going to really like become a team, like stick together, stay strong, like, you know, if like the Warriors were here, they would win the whole thing, right? Because it's just like they're dynamic in their energy. So I think it's really going to come down to keeping people healthy, which is why I'm here, and keeping people's like mind and spirit engaged. Now, with that being said, like a LeBron James and like those kind of teams, like they're definitely looking like they're going to pull it out. Really,
right? Like
because they're taking, yeah. But I again like Walker, or like he would be much better at this question because I still don't really like. He would say LeBron James 100% would get MVP, right? Or like Giannis. Like I would say that I think that people still have a chance to like really pull through and make some big waves here. Like I think that lower seeds, if they have spirit and energy and really want to like push through, like they're playing with no fans, like. You have to conjure up like your own like fierceness through this whole thing. Like you can't, you know. So I feel like that if that comes through, those kind of teams are gonna win.
Right. Kim just mentioned Walker, who was in what was it, episode 30? We recap with the college homies, either episode 30 or 31. You guys check that one out. But yeah, Walker loves LeBron James. So Kim, I know that it's got to be a crazy experience for anyone going into the bubble down there in Orlando. And you were also a first-time mother within the last few months. So what kind of feelings have you been having since, you know, being away from your daughter, who's what, 7 months old now?
7 months old, right, Teddy? And she's so freaking cute. Oh.
She is very cute. We got Pat. Can we pull up a picture right here? Can we pull up a picture of Kim? We're putting a picture up right now. Here she is. Here she is. Here's a beautiful picture. Well, you can't see it right here, but we're pulling it up. Here it is. Pat's got it. But yeah, sorry. Speak on that. Speak ahead. Speak on that.
So it's being a first-time mom. You would never ever think that you would leave your child after 6 months. I mean, that's less time than you were pregnant with her. Like, so that just doesn't seem like that would be something. You know, it's really like, you know, there's a lot of feelings of like guilt, and there's some feelings of just you're missing like so much FOMO, man. Like if you thought you had FOMO, like without like I have so
oh my
much
God,
FOMO.
forget. I can only imagine. I remember Kim. Also, I remember like like if I was in college or I didn't go to a bar party, I'd just be the rest of the weekend I'd be screwed. But I couldn't imagine having a child. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but like, no, I'm so with you. Like, if I didn't like go to that party or like host the best day or whatever, like I would always be like, oh my God, like now I'm missing her like first step or her like first like first like when it's like it is so much like I want to stop her in time and just say you cannot grow until I'm done with the bubble. But it's not happening that way because she's super active and so much more mobile than she ever was. And you know, every day I just wake up and just say I'm doing it for her, and I just gotta keep going. And I know that she'll totally get it later. And she doesn't, honestly though. Okay, so I go and I'm like, hi, like I get in her little face and I'm like, hi, mommy's here. And she's like, yeah, what's up? And then she's just like, doesn't even know, like she can't even like, so it's like she just doesn't miss me.
Right. So fine. it's like you're like, well, why should I care about her? She's like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, hilarious. But you know, it really is. It is pretty amazing that all you guys down there are able to work and you guys are accumulating a salary. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with these NBA players. And, you know, while it's tough, there's not a lot to eat or whatever. At least these guys are still getting paid their millions of dollars. I'm sure that they're happy about that, right?
Yeah, I think that, and I think these guys, like, working with them a lot, they love the game of basketball. Like, they love getting on that court. So, like, that's like air to them. So, like, for them not to be able to finish out their season, I think would have been it's just like it's really difficult. This is the bubble. Nobody was excited about getting here, but now that they're here, I think people are really like pumped. Like, you know, I was treating some guy and he said he's like, it's like a big it's like a big pickup game, you know, like they just get on the court and they don't play for fans anymore. They just play for the love of the sport, which I think is amazing. Like it just brings it back to something that's completely real and like, you know, like vulnerable, and everybody's just like living in their moment. It's pretty cool. I mean, right.
Well, I mean, it definitely brings them back to, like, I'm sure when they were hooping outside and their mom was screaming at them to come in for dinner or something like that.
No, exactly. I think that's exactly right. And it's cool. But trust me, they're happy about the bills too. They're happy about making money.
Right. Sure. I bet. So, Kim, what's it like in the bubble being a woman? So what's the ratio down there?
You want to know the ratio? I think it's like, okay, like let's say that there's about 814 people in this bubble because there's what, 22 teams and 37. There's 37 people from each team. So, and that includes the players. So that's only 20 staff for 17 players, 20 staff. That's it. When we used to have traveling parties of like 120, right? So this is like super different. And I think I'm probably one of 16 women
out of 800
and 14. I mean, I could okay. First of all, Teddy, I could totally be wrong, but just the ratio I do in my head, even being here, like I was talking to the medical director of the Mavericks, like they don't have one woman staff member on their team at this moment, and some other.
So if you're figuring that every other team has one woman,
maybe
staff?
one. So what that, and now I already know that two teams definitely don't have any. So now there's 20 or so women in this bubble, maybe. So
wow, that's super interesting. But it's really great that you're down there and doing what you love. It's just like it's interesting to hear how you put this business together in New York City, you know, this health and wellness studio, kind of just wanting to make, I'll say regular with quotation marks, but regular people feel like athletes. Yeah. And then like a few years later, you are literally with the athletes in the bubble down there.
It blows my mind. It's just like the fact that this whole thing is just coming together like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I really think that like treating people like with support and care and like nurturing them, like just past even better health. So like they're in better health, but now they know that you're like there for life, right? So like these guys aren't all injured, but they know that we're there for them no matter what they need, no matter when it is, like we're just here. So like to be able to give that to normal quote unquote people or people like in New York City, it's just like come on, like who doesn't need support? Like who doesn't need like just someone that you can call on to just be like, oh, I twisted my ankle, or oh, this like,
God, absolutely.
You know?
That's why I love keeping producer Pat around, just to complain to. He's a terrific producer. We don't have much more time,
Okay.
but before we let you go, we want to know what you do to have fun in the bubble down there. What do you do? Mini golf,
What do we do?
movies? I don't know. What are you allowed to do?
I'm going to the pool with the girls that are in the bubble, with the women that we're doing a lot of like pool time when we have a couple of minutes. So we're like
Nice.
chilling at the pool. It's pretty good.
How many pools are there? Is it just like all of 800 people around one pool? Oh.
So there's one
They're different
pool
hotels.
at this one hotel, and there's 8 teams here. So it's like 300 and some odd people sharing that pool. But it's fine. Yeah.
But
and the
it's
guy,
fine. Right.
most of the guys go fishing, so like they're all fishing. You know, the girls don't get the invites too much, but we're getting there. We're, you know, and
acclimating well.
they're letting us come in every now and then.
All right.
I play you know, we've been playing cornhole, like we just like I don't know. There was like a cornhole tournament. We've been doing that.
A tournament? That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it was funny. There was a bunch of, you know, every team like had like 4 or 5 or 6 guys, you know, so it was fun. We've been playing pickleball, like we just like, I'm telling you, it's camp. It's literally camp. Like you could work out, run on trails, go on a boat ride, like hang out with your friends at the pool, like basically just play some random pickleball. Like it's just been fun. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like there's a shortage of activities down there. NBA Bubble Life, Kim Caspare. Kim, thank you so much for joining us all the way
It was
from
my
Orlando, from the bubble. That was terrific. Producer Pat, I love you as always. Kim, that was really something so special. Episode 47. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We will see you later. Goodbye.